In this activity, we're going to make a simple LED circuit using the JackBord top. This goes with level 1 of electronics and is covered under activity number 6. The TMT code to get more information and resources is shown on the bottom of the screen, and just go to jb.works and enter that TMT code at the search prompt. We're going to implement the circuit shown in the top right hand side, which is basically a 1K resistor which takes 3 volts and feeds it into a yellow LED. So looking at the circuit on the JackBord, we've got the yellow power cable going to the input of the resistor, which is pin 1. Then the other side comes out at pin 2 and it goes along to our yellow LED, and then from the other side of the yellow LED back to ground. So we will now build this circuit and get it to work. For this activity, you're going to need a charged JackBord, a JackBord top, and 6 short female-female jumper wires. Before we begin, let's have a closer look at the circuit. So this center part here is the circuit diagram that we saw earlier. And what we're going to do is just look at each individual part. So for a start, this is the symbol on the circuit for a jumper wire, and that's these guys here, down here, there are 3 of them. And so this is a jumper wire, that's a jumper wire, and that's a jumper wire. Now jumper wires are used to connect pins. So for example, these are the 3-volt pins, and these are the ground pins. And so you have a jumper wire that's going to connect from the 1K resistor here to the 3 volts, and that's what this jumper wire here is doing. Then this next jumper wire is connecting between the other end of the resistor and the LED. And finally, this jumper wire is connecting from the other side of the LED down to the ground pin, which is right here. So basically, each one of these circles represents a pin on the JackBord top, and that's where you plug things in. Right, to put it together, the first thing we do is take the top and just put it on top of the JackBord. Then we're going to connect the power. So we'll start with our green jumper wire from the top, and that'll go into the green line on port D. Then we're going to do the yellow 3-volt line from the top, and that will go into the 3-volt pin on port D. And then lastly, we'll take the red 5-volt line, even though we're not going to use it, but we'll just connect it anyway. And that goes into the 5-volt, the red 5-volt line. So this is us with our power connected from the JackBord to the top. Now that we've got the power connected, we're going to attach the rest of the lines. So the first wire is going to go from the 3 volts here on the top. And remember, we had the first resistor. And so that is this one here. It has the first jumper wire. So we're going from 3 volts into the left-hand side of the resistor. Now we're going to take another wire and go from the other side of the resistor and connect to the yellow LED like this. So we've now got a connection from the other side of that resistor all the way around to the LED line. And then the last one we're going to do is take the ground line from the LED and connect it to the ground pin. And you can see that the first pin is the ground for the white one, so we need to use the second ground pin for our yellow LED. And then we connect that to the ground pin on the top here. So the full circuit is 3 volts starts here, goes around through the resistor, the 1K resistor, around here into the LED, then out of the LED and to ground. So when I turn the JackBord on, if we've done this properly, the yellow LED should turn on. And sure enough, it does. If it flickers, then that means that we've got a slightly loose connection. Use these pictures to check your circuit and see if it's connected correctly. The picture on the left shows the power supply connections from the top to the JackBord. And remember that if you've got a block 4 or 3 JackBord, the 5 volt, 3 volt and ground pins on port D will be on the right hand side. And the picture on the right side of the screen shows the first connection, which is the yellow 3-volt pin going into the resistor, 1K resistor. And then you can see the orange jumper going off to the LED. The picture on the left shows the orange jumper wire going into the LED's positive pin, which is the yellow pin, and then the ground connection from the LED, which then, if you look at the right-hand picture, is the green jumper wire which connects to the ground line up near port B. And that's on the far right of that photograph. And this final picture shows the complete circuit. So we have the yellow jumper on the left-hand side supplying 3 volts to the resistor, the orange jumper in the center, which connects the other side of the resistor to the input of the LED, and then finally the green jumper on the right-hand side, which goes from the ground pin on the LED to the ground pin on the top. And you can see there that the LED is illuminated. So this circuit is working. Lastly, we're going to relate what we did with the top to the circuit diagram that we saw at the beginning. So first of all, the red arrow on the left is pointing at the yellow jumper wire, which goes from 3 volts to the resistor. And on the right-hand side, you can see the red arrow is pointing at that jumper as it appears in the circuit diagram. Then if we move on to the orange jumper, you can see that that's the part of the circuit that connects the 1K resistor to the LED. And finally, we have the green jumper, which connects the negative side of the LED to ground. For more information, go to jb.works.